All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here today. I'm Cheryl Davies, U.S. Customs and Border Protection's lead field coordinator for Super Bowl LVIII. Today, you'll hear about how a team of federal, state, and local organizations are working behind the scenes to ensure a safe and secure event. From protecting Allegiant Stadium to intercepting counterfeit NFL merchandise to combating human trafficking, we are in fact a team of teams. Our guests today are Christopher Miller, Special Agent in charge of Homeland Security Investigations, Las Vegas; Aaron Ford, the Attorney General for the State of Nevada; Karen Burke, Deputy Federal Coordinator for Super Bowl LVIII and the Federal Security Director for Transportation Security Administration, Nevada; and Ralph Leapor, the Senior Director for the Department of Aviation, Clark County Department of Aviation. I'd also like to recognize Garrett Donaldson, the Special Agent in charge for the Federal Air Marshal Service in Las Vegas, and the Viper and K-9 teams here today. Thank you all for being here. With over 60,000 employees, Customs and Border Protection is the largest and most complex law enforcement agency in the United States. We are again supporting Super Bowl security operations as we have done for many years in the past. Let's talk about airspace security. CBP is deploying Black Hawk and A-Star helicopters to protect Allegiant Stadium, airspace, and the thousands of fans attending the event. Our team of aviators will provide real-time, high-definition downlinks to the Super Bowl Command Center while enforcing the Federal Aviation Administration's temporary flight restriction over the stadium. This unique eye-in-the-sky capability is critical for security of the event, as the team is able to detect and intercept any suspicious aircraft attempting to enter the restricted zone. On the ground, CBP is deploying advanced, large-scale, non-intrusive inspection technology to scan all deliveries entering the venue, including food and beverage, uniforms, equipment, and even the Lombardi Trophy. Our expertise in detecting weapons, explosives, and other contraband is a critical security layer. We use this technology every day at our nation's ports of entry to detect high-risk cargo. Now let's talk about fake NFL merchandise. In coordination with Homeland Security Investigations, we will be conducting operations to detect, intercept, and seize counterfeit NFL products. The merchandise you see on display today is nothing compared to the millions of fake goods that criminals will try to sell online, on the street, and through other unauthorized sources. Our message is clear: don't buy this stuff. Think about it. If you purchase counterfeit goods online, you're basically giving away your financial information to criminals. Counterfeiters deceive and exploit fan enthusiasm with low-quality fake products. Many consumers also don't realize that purchasing counterfeit goods supports criminal activities such as human trafficking and forced labor. Speaking of human trafficking, we will be targeting the transnational organized criminals who seek to benefit from such heinous activity. As the first agency with access to potential human trafficking victims, we have a unique role in recognizing trafficking and potential victims. As you can see, CBP support is multidimensional and a strategic combination of expertise, technology, and partnerships. We are very proud to bring these capabilities to the big game. Our next speaker is Christopher Miller, Special Agent in charge for Homeland Security, Las Vegas.
So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here today. I'm Christopher Miller, Special Agent in charge for Homeland Security Investigations here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'd like to thank CBP Director of Field Operations, Cheryl Davies, and Senior Director of Aviation, Clark County, Ralph Leapor, for hosting this event. We've gathered here with our federal, state, and local partners to provide protection for those in attendance to Super Bowl LVIII and all of its associated events. I represent Homeland Security Investigations, the primary investigative arm of DHS, consisting of well over 10,000 employees. We are charged with combating transnational criminal organizations that exploit the global infrastructure through which trade, travel, and finance move. During Super Bowl LVIII, HSI has over 100 personnel assigned in the Las Vegas area to provide physical security, intelligence support, to include Southern Nevada Counterterrorism Center, as well as conducting counterfeit merchandise operations throughout the metropolitan area. In coordination with CBP, the Nevada Attorney General's Office, and the National IPR Center, we have collectively surged resources in the months leading up to the Super Bowl to identify and target individuals illegally importing counterfeit goods into the United States. This intelligence shared with our law enforcement partners, primarily CBP, to detect and seize the illicit items at our borders. These seizure events frequently lead to both domestic and international investigations and subsequent enforcement operations. In Las Vegas, most of these cases are presented to Attorney General Ford's office here for prosecution. These defendants are subject to criminal and/or civil charges, fines, and penalties. Just this past weekend, HSI and the Attorney General's office conducted enforcement operations at 4 different locations. We identified and seized over 4,500 counterfeit items valued at just under $1 million. Operations like this will continue for the duration of Super Bowl week and beyond. Counterfeit merchandise is a multi-billion-dollar industry. However, it is not a victimless crime. Oftentimes, these items could be produced by victims of labor exploitation. The goods are illegally imported and smuggled in the United States and often pose a health and safety danger to the consumer. Furthermore, in cases of e-commerce, organizations are often involved in the theft of consumer identity and their financial information. So, people out there, if you need help identifying counterfeit goods or need additional information, I'd like to direct you to www.iprcenter.gov. In closing, I would like to thank Senior Director Leapor for hosting the event, along with District Director of Field Operations Cheryl Davies. And I would also like to thank Attorney General Ford, as well as Federal Security Director Karen Burke, for the outstanding partnerships we've had to date. And I know our agencies will continue to collaborate and keep our community safe. Thank you.
All right, next I'd like to call up Aaron Ford, the Attorney General for the state of Nevada.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aaron Ford, and I am your Attorney General. I'd like to thank you for being all here today to discuss intellectual property crimes and the economic damages that sellers of counterfeit goods can have on our communities. Accompanying me today are some very important team members from our Office of Attorney General, including my Chief of Investigations, William Scott, one of my investigators, Donchi King, another, Anthony Gonzalez, and she who oversees all of our prosecutions of these matters, Alyssa Engler. Thank you so much for being here as well to talk about this important topic. If you've heard me speak before, you know you've likely heard me reference what I call my 5 C's, the guiding principles of my office. These are constitutional rights, criminal justice and reform, consumer protection, client service, and community engagement. In my office, protecting Nevadans from counterfeit goods, from scammers and detrimental economic impact is one of the many ways that we fulfill our obligation under the C of consumer protection. Intellectual property crimes are a massive drain on the economy, affecting everything from companies' bottom lines to economic expectations of everyday Americans. The myth of these crimes, as you've heard, as being victimless is deceptive. These, again, are not victimless crimes. The impact on companies, which in turn impacts American workforce who relies on these companies for well-paying jobs. They also defraud the American public. Buyers may pay higher prices for substandard products, not understanding that they are counterfeit. Businesses that use IP extensively have shown to be powerful economic drivers. These industries account for 41% of domestic economic output and 44% of all U.S. employment in 2019. Workers in these industries are more likely to earn higher wages, to participate in employer-sponsored health insurance and retirement plans, and to be veterans. These are good-paying jobs, and they're jobs that we need to protect. For law enforcement and investigators like ourselves, that means helping these companies protect their IP and stopping intellectual property crimes from occurring whenever possible. In 2023, investigators with my office seized over 60,000 counterfeit and misbranded items. These items had a total retail value of over $10 million and a street value of over $800,000. I want to take a moment to thank my investigators for the vital work that they do in cracking down on these scammers and on these intellectual property thieves. As we approach the Super Bowl, my office and other law enforcement agencies are on the lookout for counterfeit merchandise. Sports merchandise like the type you see here, especially focused around such high-profile events as the Super Bowl, are common targets for intellectual property criminals and counterfeiters. In fact, fake NFL jerseys and other branded items, as well as other sports merchandise like NBA jerseys, were commonly found in my office's seizures last year. They're popular items on the black market. In Nevada, our state statute is modeled after the Uniform Deceptive Trade Practices Act, and charges under that statute may either be criminal or civil. During the 2021 legislative session, lawmakers passed changes to that statute to increase criminal penalties and violations of our state statute. Criminal violations, which used to be only misdemeanors, are now tiered with amounts and severity to follow general fraud and theft violations. This statute gives us tools that we need to go after those people who are selling knockoffs, who are selling these counterfeit goods. And make no mistake about it, if you engage and peddle in this counterfeit merchandise in Nevada, we will go after you. As always, education is important when it comes to these issues. Proactive education that's geared toward our communities on intellectual property crimes and intellectual property as a whole is an important strategy for containing these crimes. If I keep talking, can you hear me? All right, I will keep talking. People need to be made aware that the creation of these products often involves forced labor and unsafe working conditions, and that proceeds from counterfeit goods, as you've heard, can go on to fund other illicit activities. In 2010, the National Crime Prevention Council surveyed Americans in multiple cities across the country. What they found was that most people cannot accurately describe intellectual property or intellectual property crimes, and many did not know that purchase of counterfeited or pirated products actually hurts other people or communities. 52% of people said they did not know where to go for information on these topics, and 63% said that they needed more information. Now, these numbers are older, but it's clear that education and information is crucial. There are crucial parts of stopping counterfeiting and pirating of intellectual property. A combination of proactive education and rigorous investigation in these crimes is needed to protect American businesses and the public from unfair and untenable business practices. I want to end by, again, thanking you all for coming out today and to affirm that my office and those agencies that are here today will be on the lookout for those who would attempt to skirt our intellectual property laws ahead of the Super Bowl. Partnerships are key to success in any operation. You've heard some agencies mentioned. In Nevada, our law enforcement agencies work together with several, again, that you've already heard mentioned, and I want to thank those who are here, including HSI, CBP, the Nye County Sheriff's Office in its absence, and others who work overtly and covertly to ensure that we have a safe and secure Super Bowl experience. Wishing you a great one, everyone, and thanks so much.
All right, our next speaker is Karen Burke, Federal Security Director for TSA.
I'm a little bit shorter than everybody else, so I'll try to make sure that you can hear me. So again, I am Karen Burke, and I am pleased to be here today because I believe the combined efforts of the Department of Homeland Security are going to give you an unmatched Super Bowl for Super Bowl LVIII. The coordination that's occurred, and I see it from my TSA role, but also I see it from having been the deputy coordinator for the event in itself, that the cooperation between state, local, and federal entities has provided us an opportunity to provide for all the visitors here safety and security. You know, our intent is to make sure every visitor is safe and secure so that you can go have a good time, because that's really a lot about what Super Bowl is about. Whether you're here for the game or you're here for the other events that are going to take place during this week, there are many good entertainment opportunities. So some of the specifics that TSA provides, and I will show over to the left, you'll see 2 K9, and I think we also have a K9 for CBP. But these K9s for TSA are explosive detection K9s, and they're used through all the venues for this Super Bowl, all over town. The plan is not only hotels, the stadium, but also even the football fields that the teams will be playing on. And they make sure that they do a search, a sweep, to make sure everything is secure. So they play a great role. You'll also see them here at the airport as well when you go out of town on Monday, if you leave after the Super Bowl, because we use them at our checkpoints. And they help to make sure we have the most effective and efficient processing of people. On Monday, we're expecting probably close to 115,000 people will go out of the airport, and that's probably going to break every record we've had here at the airport. So we want to make sure we're as prepared as possible to do a great job for you. We also have supplemented our hundreds of workers here that are transportation security officers with an additional 75 TSOs, so that when Super Bowl ends, right after Super Bowl, this airport will have every checkpoint and every lane in each checkpoint open nonstop for 48 hours. And that should give us a chance to be able to have people come to the airport at any time and be able to process you quickly and be able to get you on your way, which is what most people are going to be looking for. So it's an all-hands-on-deck opportunity for sure. We also have a very important division within TSA, which are the Federal Air Marshals. And I think we've talked, Garrett's here today, who's our head of Air Marshals locally. And they're going to be providing what we call VIPERs, or Visible Intermodal Prevention and Response Teams. And those teams, you'll see, again, within a variety of transportation areas, that we just want to make sure that we have a highly visible presence of law enforcement, because it serves as a very powerful deterrent for someone who may be thinking of doing something that is going to disrupt the festivities. So they also are going to be involved with something we call the drone detection and mitigation. Drones are very fun things to play with if you ever have, but they also can become threats. And so we want to make sure that the drone activity is kept within the parameters that they're allowed to, again, just ensure security. And all of us, as Cheryl mentioned, are really involved with human trafficking. All our employees in DHS have been trained to look for the behaviors that may represent trafficking, and we will make sure to get in contact with local law enforcement. So I guess my parting words to you are that we are ready to deliver on our commitment to produce the most fantastic Super Bowl LVIII, and it's because of our commitment as a team, and we're looking forward to take on the challenge. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ralph Leapor, Senior Director of Aviation for the Clark County Department of Aviation.
Thank you, Director Davies, and I'll put this up a little bit higher. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and on behalf of our Director, Rosemary Vasiliadis, and the entire team at Harry Reid International, welcome. We're glad to have you here today. As you've heard from everyone here, it takes a great deal of collaboration across several partners to prepare and implement plans not only for mega events like the Super Bowl, but truly for every single day at the airport. When we think about the Las Vegas experience, obviously it's the famed Strip and the lights and glitz of the Strip in downtown. But for more than half of our visitors, the Las Vegas experience begins and ends right here at Harry Reid International Airport. That is an incredible honor to bear as the gateway to the destination, but with that also comes some responsibility. The safety and security of all our guests is the top priority, as many of my fellow speakers highlighted, but one topic that's important to highlight is how we work together to combat human trafficking. Human trafficking is not new or exclusive to big events, but reminding all our employees, partners, and guests to be alert and act if they see something suspicious is extremely important as we anticipate an influx of travelers coming through the airport this coming week. Nearly a decade ago, we were one of the first domestic airports to launch an awareness campaign on a large scale that provides a call to action. We implemented an awareness campaign throughout the entire airport, ensuring that all of the paths of travel were covered, and most importantly, in all of our restrooms. Understanding the restroom may be the only time a person who is being trafficked is alone was an important realization. So we installed signs on every stall door with the National Human Trafficking Hotline. In the last 5 years, we've updated those bathroom signs to include the messages in English, Spanish, Tagalog, and Mandarin. We have 887 public stalls in this airport. That's 887 opportunities for a potential victim to potentially break free. In addition, this year we partnered with It's a Penalty, the NFL's nonprofit organization, to help raise awareness across our entire community. And as you travel throughout the airport terminal this week, you'll see new campaigns throughout. Creating awareness is just one piece of the puzzle. It's also about education and partnerships. We continue to provide training opportunities for all of our employees during their onboarding process and provide annual refreshers to ensure that this topic remains at the forefront. Lastly, it's partnership with our law enforcement agencies who intervene as well. But the journey doesn't end there, and I have to thank and express my sincerest gratitude to our Attorney General Ford and his entire team and his office for their continuous work and efforts to prosecute those who exploit and traffic men and women in this horrific crime. And I'd like to thank all of my fellow speakers because, like I mentioned earlier, we're all one piece of that puzzle. And it takes a great deal of effective partnership to do what we do every single day. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Leapor. We are now available to answer a few questions if anybody has any questions.
If you could wait for the mic, who's asking questions?
This is an easy one. Hello.
His name is Ozzy.
There you go. Beagle, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Agriculture Canine Beagle.
This is Richard with the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Yeah, when people are leaving on Monday or later, will you be checking for some of these counterfeit goods? And if so, will you confiscate them, and what happens to them?
We, as part of the normal course of our duties, we do have officers focus on outbound inspections. So that's a distinct possibility.
Ken with the Associated Press has a follow-up.
It's not following that question. It'd be for Ms. Burke, Ms. Burke, if you don't mind. When you mentioned mitigation, what does that entail?
So there is technology in today's world that allows us to identify when there are drones in the air and to actually take control of them if we need to either get them out of the airspace they're in that they shouldn't be in and send them back to the owner, or we sometimes will take control and put them in a spot that we want to put them in. But we do have that technology to ensure they don't invade space they should not be in, which cause safety risks.
Question right here.
Regarding security, you mentioned that you will be in the air. By chance, are you also working with Nellis Air Force Base to utilize any of their technology or planes here in Las Vegas?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Will you be working with Nellis Air Force Base to use some of the planes in regards to security around the Super Bowl?
I don't believe so. I can say as far as CBP support, we're using our air and marine helicopter services. I don't believe we're using any state and locals.
Anybody else?
All
If
right.
you have a question, raise your hand.
Yes. All right, if there are no other questions, thank you everyone for being here today. We really appreciate you guys showing up. Thanks. Have a good day.